Hey guys, this is the Unsmooth Criminal, and this is part 3. That's all I'm going to say. This is part 3. So, we do a little bit of a time skip, and Izumi and Eri are waking up after a long night of fun, and it's the day of the first day of UA, because obviously they passed the entrance exams. Duh. Well, Eri passed the entrance exams. Izumi, she kind of just was there. She cheered on Eri, and she's still really overprotective of Eri, but she doesn't have the Jigsaw personality to take over when she's doing her sadistic side. And in the few days or the week skit time between the entrance exams and the first day UA, her personality has done the whole 180 of being the nice, shy little girl that she was to a sadistic badass that wants people to hit her really freaking hard when it's time for pleasure. So, that is very big 180. But we go to the first day and oh crap. Aizawa asks midnight before Izumi and Eri wake up. Did the sound uh did the room in the dorms get changed for them? And Midnight goes, I don't know. Why don't you call Nezu and ask? And he goes, oh, I know Nezu kind of acts like a grandfather to her, so, fine. He picks up the phone and calls, and he asks Nezu, has the dorm room been changed so Izumi and Eri, you have a place where they can be as loud as they want? And Nezu, knowing what happened and knowing the relationship between them, goes, yes, it has been changed, and yes, it has the ability for them to be as loud as they want for as long as they want. Oh crap. My parents are trying to sleep, so it's a tired mood in my entire house, so I'm kind of sleepy. And I want to get this out because, yeah. I'm just going to label these parts now. I don't even need to label them the what if names. You guys are just going to recognize the image. But, so, we start off with, or no, we don't start off. So we go to Eri and Izumi waking up, and they hop in the shower together. They shower really quickly. They still have some fun in the shower, obviously, because they love each other. Obviously, they're gonna have some fun. They get dressed and they get downstairs. They get downstairs. They sit at the table. They sit right next to each other, really close next to each other, and they eat breakfast. And they ask Aizawa at the exact same time, "When are we going to school?" And he goes, so school starts today, and you guys are moving out today." And they go, "What?" "Oh yeah, dorms, duh." And there he goes, "Wait, dorms?" Um, and Izumi goes, "Yeah, I remember everything from when my quirk evolved." And Aizawa goes, "So you remember the 15 years of your life that you kind of lost?" He goes, "Kind of never forgot it, but am I going to the same room?" And he goes, "No, you're not going to class 1B, you're going to class 1A. And she goes, "Oh, the head of the hero course? And he goes, yeah, because Eri got into class 1A. And she hugs Eri going, congratulations! And Eri's like, so did she score enough to get into class 1A? And he goes, no, she didn't even try. And Eri looks at Izumi and goes, Izumi? And she goes, yeah. And she's smiling and hugging Eri and giving her praise that Eri got into class 1A. And Eri goes, did you even try on the exams? And she goes, nope. And Izumi, knowing that Midnight's going to hear this and start laughing, gets close to Eri's ear and says, are you going to punish me later? And Midnight was taking a drink of water and spit out the water at Mach 1. And Aizawa got drenched in water. He's like, what? And Midnight just starts laughing her ass off because she heard exactly what Izumi said and goes, sadistic much and masochistic, just like Jigsaw said. And Eri is like, that's just it. You didn't try, so you don't get a punishment. And Izumi looks completely destroyed, being like, no! And she goes, if you retake the test and actually get into 1A, I'll punish you. And Aizawa hears this and goes, what? And she goes, yes, I'll do it. I'll retake the test. And Aizawa's like, wait, oh god, I gotta make a test. So they get to school and Aizawa walks into class and he hides behind his desk and he gets in the sleeping bag, and it's not a yellow sleeping bag like in canon, it's a black sleeping bag. And Eri gets a white sleeping bag and Izumi gets a dark blue sleeping bag. And Eri and Izumi are currently sleeping in the corner right next to each other in their sleeping bags, just sitting there sleeping. Everybody walks in and Aizawa notices that everybody is in the class, and first person awake is Eri. No, Aizawa never sleeps, so first person awake is Eri. And she sees that Izumi is still asleep, and she's like, oh, I really want to wake her up right this second. And she hears an explosive personality of a person, and he walks in, and he's just cussing. He's loud, he's yelling, and Eri gets up, and she lets off this aura that Bakugo feels, and he's like, oh crap. So he immediately shuts up and just quiets down, and Ida's like, that is very disrespectful for you to have your feet on the desk. And Bakugo grabs him by the collar and says, shut up or we're all dead in this classroom. And he has the most terrified look in his eyes. And Ida's like, okay. And Bakugo sits down and he keeps his feet under the desk. And everybody else heard this and it's like, what is in this classroom that will make us, that will kill us? And they hear a little yawn from the back, and they look back there and they see a girl, a cute girl, or the girls in the class think it's a cute girl, and the guys in the class think of, damn. So Eri heard the yawn and turns around and sees Izumi yawning a little and stretching, and she goes, oh, class is about to start. And Izumi hears this from Eri and goes, okay, and gets out of the sleeping bag and sits at her desk. And Eri puts her desk that was right next to Izumi's, even closer to Izumi, so they're sitting right next to each other. And Ida was about to talk when Izumi's mask starts to form. No, Jigsaw is not coming back. She just has control over the mask this time. So it starts to form and it just shows the mouth. And it's changing. It's not the Jigsaw mask that everybody knows. It's an Oni mask. No, it's a Cheshire Crash. It's a Cheshire Cat mask. So this smile appears on her face, and it's not a normal smile. It's the smile of a demon. And she starts to smile, and Ida doesn't know why, but he feels like he's staring into death. So he shuts up and sits back down. Ooh, Discord. Oh, that's Crunchy Fit. Not mine. You guys need to join my Discord. I'll put a link in the description. Please join it. Yeah, it was my fault for the first few links that lasted 24 hours. Sorry. Thank you, Ken Kaneki, for saying that the link was faulty. Otherwise, no one would have told me, and I'd have had one person join, and everybody else would be able to not join. So, thank you. So, everybody is just feeling this aura and this disgusting feeling when they look at Izumi, and Eri puts her head on Izumi's shoulder, and Izumi stops smiling. And she just has a cute little smile on. Be like, yay, I'm happy. And everybody looks at Izumi and it's like, what? And Mina sees what Eri's doing, and she goes, oh, okay. Okay. And she's like, so this ship has already sailed. No work for that one. Dang it. And so she starts looking at Uraraka. So that's the end of the Mina shipping. I'm sorry, I just had to do that. So Bakugo is quiet. He's physically quiet because he knows Eri can whoop his butt, and Izumi's right next to her. He doesn't know that Jigsaw is not there anymore. He just knows Izumi's there. There's a chance of Jigsaw coming out. So he never turned around to see that new face. He just felt this different presence. He's like, this feels kind of familiar and also scary, so I'm not going to turn around. And Aizawa hears that everybody quieted before the time, and he gets up and be like, well, it took you negative 10 seconds to quiet down, so it looks like I'm going a little easier on you in this test. And everybody looks at him and goes, what about orientation? And he goes, and Izumi at the back of the room goes, screw orientation. We don't need to be told how good we are. We should already know that. And Aizawa starts to laugh, being like, my favorite student's already my favorite student. And everybody looks at her and goes, what? And she goes, oh, hi. My old name used to be Izumi Midori. I'm now Izumi Aizawa. And there he goes, I'm Eri Aizawa. And she just puts her head back down on Izumi's shoulder. And Aizawa says, okay, everybody except the lovebirds, because they already know what the drill is, get out to the training ground. And they look at Izumi and Eri and go, oh, except for Mina. She's already figured that out. And so they go to the changing room. They start changing, and Izumi feels this gaze when she walks into the changing room. And she has the ability of the Cheshire Cat, because he's a little frightening. Hey, if anybody says that Cheshire Cat's not frightening, just think he's a cat that can go invisible and show only his mouth and eyes. He is terrifying when you think about it. Because he can go completely invisible and still see you. So, spy much? And plus, when I was very little, I saw that movie and I was freaking terrified of him. But go back on topic. Yes, I was terrified of the Cheshire Cat. So, she feels this gaze, and so she's like, let's have some fun. And so she released this intent, and it's just plain intent. It's not killing intent. It's not uh, any other intent. It's just plain intent. So she's planning to do something. And all the girls in the changing room feel this intent, and they're like, oh God, what are they doing? And Izumi walks over to the hole, and she puts her eye right up in front of the hole, and it allows her to see straight into Minetta's eye. And she's like, ooh, fun. And so she puts her finger in the hole, and she starts emitting this black mist. And this mist starts rolling out of the hole constantly. And Bakugo sees this mist like, oh crap. So he hurries up and gets changed and runs out of the room. And everybody's like, what is that? And Kirishima's like, I'm gonna follow his lead. And he does the same. Ida's going, Ida chop and with the air saying, everybody, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And Minetta's freaking out, be like, oh, what the hell? And he tries to look back in the hole, but he gets an eye full of this black mist. And so when he gets an eye full of this black mist, his eye goes completely white. He's not blind in that eye. Yet. But he can't see the hole anymore with that eye. So he closes that eye and he opens it and he can't see through that eye anymore. And he starts freaking out like, what the hell's going on? And Ida, who saw him basically lose sight in one eye, is like, oh crap, I'm already blind enough, I gotta leave. So he books it. Everybody else is out of the changing room. And Mineta hears the thing that he never wants to hear. And the girls are still talking, having a little fun. Izumi says, I suggest you guys leave before you hear some screams. And they're like, what? And all of a sudden they hear clunk, clunk from the doors on both sides of the male's changing room. And Bakugo heard the clunk from one of the doors, and he's like, uh, Sensei? And he goes, what is it? And he goes, I think we're not going to have Mineta anymore. And he goes, oh, don't worry. No games will be played today. And Bakugo hearing no games will be played today, and he goes, oh my God. Thank God. That's freaking terrifying. And he goes, oh, Jigsaw's gone. That's her hero name now. And Bakugo goes, what do you mean Jigsaw's gone? And everybody's like, who the hell's Jigsaw? And Aizawa goes, oh, Izumi Aizawa is my adopted daughter, and she had another personality from her quirk. And he explains her quirk and how evil it was when she was uncontrollable. And he explains what her quirk did to her and how mentally fucked up she is right now. And he says that she's currently the mental age of a 13-year-old and the physical age of a 15-year-old. And they all look at him and go, yeah. And all of a sudden they hear, ah! From the guy's locker room. And all the girls are like, okay. So they're walking out at this point, and he's walking out with them, talking with them, and they hear the scream, and they're like, okay. And Eri just keeps talking on, just ignoring it. And Izumi in the changing room finally pulls her finger from the wall and gets changed. And this black mist starts to slowly seep out of the changing room, other side of the changing room. She's like, oh crap. So she walks out of the changing room, gets a roll of tape from the teacher's lounge, and she sees Midnight and goes, hi mom. And Midnight goes, what are you doing here? And she goes, some tape. And Midnight points over to the desk and goes, you better bring it back at least half full. And she goes, don't worry, I'm only going to use 4 pieces. And Midnight goes, for small or big pieces? And she goes, small. And she shows roughly 6 inches long. And Midnight goes, oh, okay. And Izumi gets back to the changing room and she sees that a lot of the smoke has come out of the men's changing room, and so she plugs it up again and fills it up again, and she hangs a piece of tape there and crosses it over with another piece of tape, and then she hangs another piece of tape down close to the first one, and she makes a checkerboard pattern with the tape. She quilted the tape and she basically flattened it out, made sure that it would move, and she walked out of the changing room fully changed and ready to do the tests. And Ari walked up to her and asked, what took you so long? And she goes, Perv, his greatest fear. And 3, 2, 1, and they hear another scream. She goes, and the effects wear off in 5, 4, 3, 2. Another scream. 1, and they're gone. And the doors open, and this black fog comes rushing out and flying into the air. And everybody's like, what the hell was that? And Bakugo's like, oh, I thank God no games were played. And they finally ask him, what the hell is a game? And Izumi goes, you want to play a game? And he pales when she said that because she's smiling like the Cheshire Cat. And Harry goes, no punishment if you play a game. And she goes, but Harry? And she's on the verge of anime tears. And Harry goes, remember my rule. If they're not a convicted felon, no game. And she goes, I know, but come on, it's fun. And Ari goes, I know it's fun, but no. And Aizawa goes, okay, time for the test. And so he says the ball throw, and he throws it to Izumi and goes, remember the deal this morning? And she goes, oh crap, you guys were serious about that? And she looks at Ari, and Ari nods her head, and she goes, and she starts crying anime tears, being like, why, cruel world? And Mina's like, and she walks up to Ari and goes, what's punishment? And Ari goes, oh, she's a massive masochist. And her reward is punishment if she does something correctly. But she doesn't get hurt. Instead, I revert her back to before she felt pain, so she can't get punishment if she's done something bad. So, and Mina goes, so, is there a way I can help? And Ari goes, what's your quirk? And Mina goes, acid. And Ari's eyes light up going, perfect. I've been looking for someone who has a very strong quirk like that. And Mina goes, okay. And Ari says, my dorm room, after everybody's done packing up, if she passes the test. And Mina goes, okay. So we finished to the end of the test, and With her terrifying abilities, she gets number 1, Eri gets number 2, Bakugo gets number 3, and everybody gets cannon. Mineta, not even showing up, gets last, and he gets expelled. Actually, not. No, he does not get expelled. He gets a curse put on him by Izumi because she has the abilities of all horror uh, entities, including poltergeists, to help put a curse on him. And he has the curse that whenever he peeps on a beautiful woman, of any size beautiful woman, he gets a face full of ugly man ass. And it's not the pretty ugly man ass, it's the hairy, ugly, ugly, ugly man ass. So he gets to see that every time he tries to peep on a girl. And he sees it for a good 10-20 minutes. And his eyes have forever been changed. And his quirk has changed drastically too. He has normal hair. He doesn't have balls for hair. And he lost his lisp. So he can talk normally. He can. So she kind of helped and hurt him at the same time. Oh, crap. So, Mineta finally gets out of the changing room, and he's showing up, and he has normal hair. And Eri looks at him and goes, "Wasn't his head a ball sack earlier?" And yes, this is a very explicit Eri. And Izumi goes, "Yeah, I kind of cursed him though." And Eri goes, "Oh, so that black fog was a curse?" "No, that black fog was miasma. I used the miasma to curse him." And she goes, "Oh, so what does he see when he tries to peep on us now?" And she goes, "The ugliest man ass you could ever think of." And Mineta, still being the perv he is, tries to get up in Izumi's business and tries to fondle her. But since the curse happens, he planned this, and all of a sudden he saw ugly man ass and he screamed. And Izumi goes, "And I have it to trigger whenever he thinks of anything perverted or anything illegally perverted." And Eri goes, "Maybe he'll learn his lesson." And Izumi goes, "Yeah, that's just it. This curse is not to help him learn his lesson. This curse is just to curse him. I also kind of cursed him to be a perv." And Eri goes, "Oh, you're evil." And she goes, "Yeah, I know." And Eri goes, "Since you won, I'm going to punish you." And Izumi goes, "Oh, really?" And Eri goes, "Yeah, I'm going to punish you. And I have a friend coming to help me punish you." And and Izumi goes, "Who?" And she's looking suspiciously at Eri. And Eri goes, "Oh, don't worry. I'm going to just have her use her quirk to make something and then leave." And Izumi hears this and goes, "Oh, okay." So after class, everybody gets to the dorms and they get to a steel vault door, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" And it opens up, and Eri walks out and goes, "Oh, hi guys," and just continues grabbing the stuff from the common room and bringing it up. And they hear a muffled scream, and they're like, okay. And Mina walks by and hears the muffled scream and goes, "Oh, guys, please move along. And she's just scooting them along, and Eri walks back with another box. He goes, thank you. And thank you again for allowing me to use the acid from your quirk, because that kind of helps with the uh, idle aspect of punishing her. And Mina goes, so I have a quick question. And Eri goes, yes. Mina asks, where did you put the acid? And Eri goes, oh, that's easy. In her eyes, down her throat, and in her ass. And everybody hears this and goes, and they shiver and clench their butt cheeks. Be like, oh god, Aries a sadistic little girl. And Minetta starts getting turned on and he sees the ugly ass again. And he screams, and Mina looks over and sees that he just crapped himself. And she starts laughing, going, oh my god, that curse is so useful. And he's like, mm hmm. And there he goes, oh, I'll be back in a sec. And she puts the box down, and the box was just barely open, and Mina saw what was in it, and her face went tomato red and be like, Ari, is that what I think it is? And Ari goes, no. And she shuts the steel door, being like, no one goes in there unless either me or Izumi takes you on a tour. And she spins the wheel, and all of a sudden they hear clunk, and it's locked. And they could just barely hear, just barely faintly hear a moan from behind the door. And they're like, okay, this is getting awkward. We're going to leave. And Mina, her face goes even redder. And Ari goes, you want to join, don't you? And Mina, she starts stuttering and goes, yeah. And Ari goes, then she walks up to Mina and she goes straight face and whispers in her ear, the more the merrier. Come here at 10. And she goes down, grabs more boxes, and puts them in the room. 10-ish boxes later, she finally shuts the door, locks it, and she gets back to Izumi. And Izumi's eyes have fully regenerated, and her asshole is fully regenerated, and her throat has fully regenerated, and she is crying, moaning, and having a complete sense of euphoria the entire time. And Eri goes, you ready for round two? And she smiles like the Cheshire Cat, and Izumi starts crying, be like, yes, please, please. And she starts begging, and Eri goes, not just yet. And so she picks up the phone, and she looks at Izumi and says, punishment is off if you make a noise. And Izumi shuts up, even though she wants to moan at this particular point because she's still feeling the acid's effects. And she calls Mina, and Mina picks up the phone. There's a little bit of music on in the background, and Harry goes, change of plans. Now. And Mina, hearing this, goes, right away. And she runs over and slams her door, locks it, knocks on the steel door. And Eri, in a very tight leather outfit, hold on, in a very tight leather outfit, opens the door and says, get in here. And so Mina walks in, and the door shuts and locks. And and we wake up the next day. Eri, Mina, and Izumi are all just on the floor in a very comfortable position, with each other, and Mina's has a few scratch marks, a few bruises. Izumi is just completely and utterly mangled, and she's regenerating, and Eri has a few patches of fluid on her. And so she walks into the bathroom and cleans herself up, and Mina wakes up and sees that she is or feels that she's completely and utterly wasted from that. And Aries' quirk is not just rewind in this one, it's time. It's just called time. So she can, every time she rewinds someone to before something happened, she can also fast forward someone that much time. So she's probably rewound Izumi maybe 300 years in total. Because Izumi's immortality, duh. She gets hurt. Eri rewinds her to a point where she's not hurt in pain. So she can't be getting a sense of euphoria. So she walks up to Mina and goes, "This might feel a little weird." And she taps Mina's forehead. And Eri's currently naked. She taps Mina's forehead, and all Mina's fatigue starts to melt away. All of her uh, muscle starts to grow in mass because it's like she's been training for many, many years. And she stands up like nothing happened, and Eri goes, "So I just simulated years and years of torture that I've taken from her and given to you. So you're stronger than you were yesterday." And Mina goes, "How stronger?" And Eri goes, 100 times, give or take a few zeros. Okay, I gotta sneeze. And Izumi finally wakes up. I'm back, by the way. Izumi finally wakes up and she sees Mina, and she sees that Mina has gotten stronger. And she sits up and goes, "Hit me." And Eri goes, "No, we're not hitting you yet." And Izumi looks at them and goes, "Why not?" And Eri goes, "Because you haven't earned it." And Mina goes, "If I remember what happened last night correctly, she is a massive masochist." And Eri starts to laugh, going, "Yeah, and I'm very sadistic, and I love watching people get hurt." So it kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it? And she looks at Izumi, and Izumi just immediately shakes her head, yeah. She just nods her head really fast, going, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, hit me." And Mina is like, no. And Izumi's like, "I never felt such a euphoria when you melted my breasts with your acid." And Mina's like, "Wait, we did that?" And Eri goes, "Yeah, you kind of did that." That was very exotic. That has never happened to her before. And Mina goes, okay. Oh my, oh crap! We kind of ruined our clothes." And Eri goes, "No worry, I kind of got everybody a spare change of clothes." Well, everybody in the female hills of this school, and Mina goes, "Why?" And Eri points around the room and says, "This is a sex dungeon." And Mina's like, What?" And Eri goes, "Exactly what I said. This is a sex dungeon." It's either I do this every night with her, or you see someone playing a game on the news every night. And Mia's like, what's so wrong about a game? And Izumi's like, you want to play a game? And Eri goes, no, we do not want to play a game. And if you play a game, no punishment tonight. Izumi goes, okay. And she starts to cry anime tears like, why, cruel world? And Mina is like, is there any video evidence of a game? And Eri goes, yes. One time. You have to ask Aizawa for the video evidence. And she goes, okay. So she walks over to Aizawa and after she gets dressed in her usual outfit. Because this is the weekend, and she walks up to Aizawa and she says, I would like to see a game. And Aizawa goes, what kind of game? And Mina goes, Game Master game, I guess? And he goes, Eri told you to ask me, didn't she? And she goes, yeah, I kind of wanted to understand why you guys said don't say yes to her. And he goes, okay. And he pulls up a video that he took a while ago when he first saw Izumi as Jigsaw torturing someone. It was that hero that she killed. She killed multiple times over, brought him back, and killed him again, and again, and again. So you guys can hear the story in episode 1. But she sees this and she runs to the bathroom and vomits. It's like, disgusting. And Aizawa goes, that's not even the worst one. I couldn't stop her those few times, but I found a way too. And she goes, so when was the last time that Izumi did this? And Aizawa says it's been 11 years now since a 15-year-old went missing, and this 15-year-old turned into a 4-year-old and is now Izumi Aizawa. And Mina is just lost at this point and asks for a brief summary, and Aizawa goes, I'll give you a very, very, very brief summary. So there once was a kid named Izumi Midoriya, and she was a neko, a cat quirk person with a very, very strong mutation quirk for just being a base cat quirk. She had cat reflexes. She had anything a cat could do. And one day, her mother died from a villain accident. And 3 weeks later, they had the funeral like anyone should. But she was so distraught and mentally broken from that, her quirk evolved. And Mina, hearing the quirk evolved, is like, wait, quirk evolution is an actual thing? And he goes, yeah. She's like, that was just supposed to be a theory. And a game theory. I'm sorry. And he goes, nope, it's been proven multiple times. There's only 2 quirks that have ever been recorded to evolve. All Might's quirk, which evolved in a very specific way, and I don't have the liberty to say what kind of evolution it got. And then there's Izumi's quirk. She was so depressed and sad that she thought of the deaths and how the people felt of the horror genre, the families that felt that. So she brought on another persona of Jigsaw, the game master. And Mina's like, wait, like the horror person from that one movie? And he goes, yes. And Slenderman and Jason Voorhees. There's also Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers. I already said Slenderman. The Blair Witch, and he just lists all these horror movies. And Mina's like, where does the masochism come into play? And he goes, I that that's from the Jigsaw personality. So Izumi was a slight masochist when she was Izumi Midoriya, but when the Jigsaw personality took over, she stopped being a masochist. And when Jigsaw finally left again, and Mina goes, wait, how did Jigsaw leave? And he goes, oh, ask Ari about that. But when Jigsaw finally left, Jigsaw said that she gets all the things that she's been missing. And Mina goes, when that is, the memories that Jigsaw has of killing those people, the feelings that she's been missing, especially the masochism. And Mina goes, oh, so her feelings disappeared for so many years that she finally basically accepted them and they came back 30-fold. And he goes, yeah, yeah, except for the killing of the other people. That only happened for around 10 months. So she was depressed for a day about that. And then Eri punished her for, once she was not depressed, she got punished again. And Mina understands the punishment and goes, okay, so we have the world's strongest hero at our disposal as long as she gets punished every night. And he goes, yeah. And she goes, okay. And there was one person who's been hearing all this, and he walks out from behind the door and goes, so that's how I see man ass every time I purr out. And Mina's like, no, that's your own damn fault. And she just walks away, and Aizawa starts laughing, and then he gets into his caterpillar mode and says, now leave. And he flares his quirk, and Minetta's like, okay, fine. And he runs out of the room being like, I can't be myself anymore. So that's the last time I remember talking about Minetta until the training camp. And with Izumi and Eri, Izumi has been begging Eri to punish her again because she wasn't punished enough last night. And Eri goes, no, you got punishment from 2 people last night, so you're punished more than enough. And you had special punishment last night. And Izumi goes, but, and Eri goes, no buts. Ooh, that's another good way to punish you. And she calls up Momo and says, can you make me a few things? And Momo goes, sure. And she can you make me a switch, a a butterfly knife, and a katana? And Momo's like, why do you need all these things? And he goes, I like medieval weapons and torture devices. And Momo goes, sure. The katana's not going to be very strong. The switchblade's going to be perfectly fine. And the switch is going to be a little hard to make. It might take a while. And Eri goes, I got all day. So Momo hangs up the phone and gets on looking up the chemical composition of the switchblade, the switch, and the katana. And we skip to roughly 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and Izumi is eating lunch with Eri, and Momo walks down the stairs with 3 things in her hand, or 2 items in one hand and 1 item in the other. And Izumi sees the switch and is like, no, you didn't. And Eri looks at Izumi and says, if you threaten someone else to play a game, again today, you don't get them. And Izumi goes, fine, I can wait. And she's feeling this sense of pleasure, just waiting for this just action to happen. She's feeling so much suspense that she's also feeling pleasure from yesterday. And Momo walks over and Izumi goes, hit me with the switch. And Momo goes, no. And she hands them to Eri, and Eri goes, thank you, Momo. Now, can you please leave before she starts begging you to hit her with stuff? And Momo goes, I'm perfectly fine with leaving now. And everybody stays away from Izumi, because Izumi's that weird one weird person, except for Mina, who can easily tell her going, saying, I'll do it when Eri tells me. So they hang out a lot together, and they have fun nights together. It's now a month after or no, 2 weeks after the test, and it's the heroes versus villains. And All Might sees that it's Izumi and Eri in this class, and he goes, okay, so villain team, Izumi Aizawa versus Eri. And Eri goes, try that again. He goes, sorry, Izumi Aizawa versus the entire class. And he says this, and Eri goes, yeah. And everybody looks at All Might and goes, what? And he goes, sir, that might be a bad idea. And Eri goes, yeah, you might be right. And she walks over to Izumi and says, if you hit them one more time after they get knocked out, no punishment. And Izumi goes, yes, ma'am. And she straightens up and is ready for a fight. And she's ready and goes, it'll be fine now. And Izumi goes only for knockout blows. So they start fighting, and Eri has her leather outfit on, and yes, it is a very tight leather outfit, so every curve is exposed. And Izumi has a very rated R outfit, like Midnight's outfit, but she has a Cheshire-like mask on with a hood that still shows her ears and hair, but it has the ability to be taken off very easily. Oh, crap. So, Izumi is currently just standing behind the mask, and she's in suspense for when she gets hit. So, Eri brings out one of the items that Momo made for her, and she has a katana. She has the katana, and Momo asks, isn't that a little lethal? And she goes, no, Izumi's immortal. And I'm kind of cursed with immortality with her. So, and Momo goes, wait, what? And Eri goes, exactly that. She pulls the sword and stabs it in her own heart. And he goes, ow, 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 and pulls it out. And sheaths it again and goes, it freaking hurts. And she goes, but it feels so good to stab people. I really hate this sadistic side that she gave me. And Momo hears it, goes, so the trade was you're immortal, but you're sadistic? And Eri goes, yep. And I think she started cursing me when we first did it together. And she's not thinking about what she's saying, and she's just describing what they do in the bedroom. And Mina starts going red because she was about to say what Mina did with them, and she covers uh Aries' mouth and starts releasing acid and saying, Aries, I think that's enough. And Aerie just nods her head, and Mina moves her hands, and she shows the Two-Face kind of face, where part of her mouth is completely eaten away, or the Jonah Hex kind of face, where part of her mouth is completely eaten away and it's showing the teeth. And her flesh is sort of slowly regrowing, and everybody sees this like, that's freaking disgusting. And she goes, you know who's even more disgusting? And she points at Izumi, saying, hit her as hard as you want. She looks at Bakugo and says, use the biggest explosion right on her face as you want. Make sure it is hard. Otherwise, she won't feel it. And everybody asks Gary why. And finally, All Might says, ready, go. And everybody's about to go in, and Eri goes, wait! Stop! Don't move! And so she takes the katana, she puts it on her belt, and she basically climbs up the wall, opens the window, and says, okay, you can start going now. And she jumps down and lands and accidentally twisted her foot. Her foot gets dislocated. She just pops back into place and goes, ow, that freaking hurt. And just goes back on walking and normal. And everybody looks at her and goes, oh, what did you do? And she goes, oh, I made sure Izumi knew that I'm allowing her to use her abilities. Because she won't listen to anybody except me. And Mina. And whoever hits her really hard. And she looks at one of the cameras and says, All Might, she won't listen to you. Ever. And All Might looks down going, okay, I understand. So Eri walks in, smells this sickly sweet scent like decaying corpses, and she goes, be prepared for your entire world to be flipped upside down. And this fog is forming, this wall of fog is forming behind her. And they go, what? And she goes, and she starts walking backwards and says, once you step into this wall of fog, your life doesn't know the meaning of life. And she walks in, and she just sees this gory mess of mangled flesh, decapitated corpses, just anything you could think of disgusting body parts and human in disfigurement is there. And Mina's like, oh god, if it's what I think it is, I'm not gonna have a very nice time eating lunch. And so she walks in, and her stomach starts churning because she sees what it is, and she's like, oh god. And the fog is affecting them. Not the males, just the females. And the fog is affecting them like Eri got affected by the fog. And they don't know this until they find the game. They get to the last room of it, and it shows an obstacle course. And all these skeleton-like corpses in the crowd cheering like, yeah! Yeah! Rip their heads off! Yeah! And they're looking at the crowd and be like, what the hell is going on? And Izumi's like, welcome to the game. And I'm your host, the Game Master. And she has her Cheshire mask on and be like, hello. So, first round, obstacle course. First one to get to the bomb gets to fight me. And everybody's at their own different obstacle course. And with her ability, she can make space basically stretch as long as she wants. So everybody's on their own obstacle course, and Aries just standing at the bomb being like, Izumi, get down here. And Izumi appears in front of her being like, yes. And the mask is off, and Aries goes, as long as they don't die, I'm fine with this. If they die one time, no punishment. And Izumi goes, okay. So the entire area changes. It goes to a wipeout stage. If anybody's seen the show Wipeout before. And this fog rolls around them, and Eri asks, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm changing the environment. Because it was punji sticks, it was swinging saw, or swinging axes, saw blades. Now it's the big balls, the uh, ramp, the sucker punch wall, and everybody sees this and like, what the hell is this? And Bakugo tries to use his quirk. He can't use his quirk, and he yells, "Hey, no fair! We can't use our quirks!" And she goes, "I never allowed you to use it in the first place." And Eri hears this and he goes, "If they get hurt, allow me to use my quirk so I can heal them." And she goes, "But pain is awesome." And she goes, "Not for them. So allow me to do it." And she goes, "Okay." And this fog goes out and then comes back, and she's like, "Fine, you can use it." And Eri rewinds the time on Izumi just a few seconds, goes, "Okay, just making sure." He's like, "But I just cut myself." And she goes, "Exactly. No." And Izumi goes, "Fine." So Eri is currently standing at the bomb waiting for the rest of the class to get there. 10-20 minutes later, them falling on concrete and surviving and getting healed and then going back to the beginning, and they have to do the entire course over again. They get to the end, and All Might is just waiting, watching them slowly, methodically walk, and he's like, there's 3 minutes left. Why are they not walking to the bomb? And he's seeing an illusion through the cameras of them walking slowly to the bomb. And Izumi just standing still. But actually, they're physically not currently touching the bomb, and they all run and they all touch the bomb roughly at the same time. And she goes, oh, ding ding ding, you all get to fight me. And Harry goes, Momo, print more swords. And Izumi goes, ooh, good idea. And she just snaps her fingers, and everybody gets swords, clubs, morning stars, tonfas, sais, and the only one who does not get a weapon is Bakugo. And she goes, oh, and Mina. Mina doesn't get a weapon too. And she goes, Bakugo, blow me up. And her eyes widen at, his eyes widen at this, because her slight Cheshire Oni mask is like this. So it opens when her mouth opens, and it smiles when her mouth smiles. So it follows her mouth, and they can see her eyes. And she has fake horns on too. This is pretty much actually what she looks like right this second, except for the pistons underneath the chin. She don't got that. And they all see what she's wearing, and they're like, okay. And it's exposing a lot of skin. And they're confused. They're using swords, Morningstar's maces, and someone got a gun. And the gun appeared in their hand in the, apparently, real world to All Might. And he goes, young man, why do you have a gun? And Izumi goes, because I gave it to them. And she goes back to staring at the door. And this is all an allusion to All Might when All Might really went over the PA and said, "Young man, why do you have a gun?" And he got no response, but he thought he got a response. Izumi's currently in the basically dream world for her, and everybody is hitting her, cutting her apart, shooting her. She's having so much pain, so much euphoria during this that Eri goes, "Okay, everybody stop." And she has the ability to stop time with her time quirk because it evolved from when Eri used, or not Eri, from when Izumi used her quirk to basically curse Eri to be a sadist. And so everybody stops, and Izumi reforms and goes, "I was having so much fun." And Eri goes, I know. And she walks up and hugs Izumi and goes, "You gotta save some for me," and snaps Izumi's neck. And Izumi is out cold for a good 30 minutes and goes, "We win." And everybody's like, what was that?" And Eri goes, "Oh yeah, you guys know my quirk is rewind, but it's actually called Chronos now. It was called time when I first was affected by Izumi, when I started getting the sadistic personality, but now it's called Chronos, or also Father Time, for some people who want to get more technical, or in my terms, Mother Time." And they go, "So what?" And she goes, "I can control any source of time. Human, non-human. I can even decay buildings. I can rewind time, taking time from them, and I can give time, losing time from them, and do other stuff with them." And they all look at her and go, "So you're a god?" And she goes, "Yeah." A very sadistic god, but a god nonetheless. And at this point, it's lunchtime, and everybody thinks that they're at the cafeteria, but they're really still in the dream area in the ground beta, and they have the alarms go off, and Izumi gets the feeling that there's another sadistic person, goes, "I'll be right back." And she basically blinks in front of Toga and goes, "You look fun." And she grabs Toga and says, "Oh, so you want blood." And Toga goes, "Blood? Where?" And Izumi goes, "Follow me." And she lays a hand out for Toga to grab. Toga grabs her hand, and they blink off to the world, and Toga continues what she was doing. Her fake version continues what she's doing in very slow-mo. And Toga appears in front of Eri, and Eri goes, "Is this the new person?" And Izumi goes, "Yeah, she's mine." And she hugs Toga and goes, "None of you take her." And Izumi's releasing this fog again, and Toga smells it and goes, "Oh, blood." And she pulls out a knife and stabs Izumi, and Izumi, he starts moaning about this, and she goes, "So much pleasure." And I'm gonna leave it there. This is getting very strange for me, but I have a very specific way of her very specific area I'm trying to go for. So um hopefully you guys enjoyed, and it's just gonna get weirder and weirder the longer this goes on, so tell me guys if you enjoyed. Hopefully I made a gory enough character for you guys to be satisfied with some gore. So talk to you guys later. Bye.